morning, good afternoon, and good evening to many of us. Welcome to CEO Talk, a series conducted by CXO TV, where the leaders narrate a story and share their learning and their success of building a great brand. So today we have with us Saket Seth, the founder and MD of Elixia Tech. So Elixia Tech was founded in 2011 with a mission to incubate high-end technology innovation in the field of supply chain. The company provides interlinked soft board for logistic, warehouse, and inventory that control supply chain planning and execution to reduce costs for goods in transit and provide actionable business intelligence using artificial intelligence and machine learning. So in this episode, we'll discuss the key area of disruption, logistic company need to focus on, and explore some possible future of the industry. So with this, let me welcome Sanket. Hi, Sanket.
Hi, thanks a lot, Anuj, for accommodating me here, and really appreciate the efforts you're putting in to actually build this interview as such. We'll be glad to answer all your questions and share my journey towards building this great company, Elixia.
Absolutely. That's what I was just about to ask. You know, this name is very fascinating, Elixia. And I just want to quickly, want to understand the idea behind Elixia, how you started this thing and just want to take you down the memory lane, when it got started. What was the basic purpose and the idea behind it? Over to you.
Sure. So, so the journey is pretty interesting. How I started, that was back in 2010, 2011, when I was working in a small company in US. It was again a tech company wherein I was focusing on artificial intelligence and building machine learning algorithms for the logistics industry, but in US, not in India.
Okay.
And then when I interacted with the CEO of my company there where I was working, I started realizing that I should be doing a lot of things here in India than being there in US. So that made me fly back and start Elixia. So it was like a simple decision for me. Of course, while the decision was simple, the journey was not as simple as we see. So I flew back in 2011, and then I started understanding the unstructured logistics industry here in India, started interacting with a lot of supply chain heads, logistic managers to understand what exactly is the pain point. And then I started realizing that, visibility is one of the key challenges for the logistics industry here in India. Also the cost. If you see in US, the cost is about 8 to 9% of the actual sales value of a product, or the logistic cost. But in India, it's very high. It's about 14 to 15%. So there is a huge scope to reduce logistic cost here in India for any enterprise companies, be it any industry. So all these things, coupled with my luck, I, started Elixia in 2011. So how did the name Elixia come up is also pretty interesting. I have not shared this with anyone actually. Good that you brought this up. So when I was in US talking to my roommate, I was, we were just debating what exactly should be the company's name. And I wanted Elixir Technologies or something of that sort. But Elixir already existed here in India. And Elixir means Amrud, which is, thing that cures all ills. So, instead of Elixir, I just made it Elixia because it gives an A in the end. And it sounds also very good. And nowadays it's familiar to Alexa as well. So that gave me, a bit of boost to actually go ahead with Elixia Tech Solutions as such. Initially, we were a private limited company. Now it's a limited company. So yeah, so that's pretty much how Elixia came into existence. And we are a team of about 130, 140 now, majorly in Mumbai, but then we have people in Delhi and Bangalore and few other cities as well, mainly focused on digitalizing supply chain processes, bringing visibility for goods in transit, reducing cost. So yeah.
Thanks, Sanket. That was really interesting. How the name come up and how you started. Good to see you that you came back to India. You initiated something for the Indian market. That's really good enough for the Indian logistic industry. So let me just understand a little bit from you. In terms of how large is the disruption, when you look at which has been faced by the logistic industry over these last 2 years, especially during the COVID time?
Okay, so let's take a step back before COVID. There were a lot of initiatives which government started just before COVID. It all started with introduction of GST, followed by the e-way bills, and followed by the fast tags which came into existence, and government making a mandate to install GPS devices of AIS 140 in all national permit vehicles. So there were several initiatives which government took just before COVID came into existence, and soon after COVID, which happened in the month of, I believe, it started in March 2020 or so. Things went for a drastic slowdown for the next 4 months. So from April 2020 to maybe June, July 2020, things were not very fine. Not fine for both essential and non-essential goods which were in transit. The logistics industry also suffered. But soon after the first wave, as soon as the second wave started, people started realizing the importance of continuous working. And that made us, start approaching a lot of supply chain heads to understand whether they would want to do digitalization and so on. And to our surprise, every supply chain head which I have interacted with by far had something or the other as a project to digitalize their processes. So primarily Elixia mainly focuses on logistics, warehouse and inventory. Supply chain is pretty huge. We mainly focus on surface transport, not considering air, rail and sea. So there are different modes of transportation, right? So we mainly focus on surface transport. Maybe slowly we'll get into air and then followed by sea and rail. We'll talk about what Elixia will be doing in the near future. But then when it comes to surface transport, we focus on all segments of logistics. It includes inbound, it includes primary transportation, which is long haul movements, that is plant to depots or plant to warehouses, for both cold as well as dry. So we do cold chain, a lot of cold chain and a lot of dry movement, digitalization as such. It's a tech company, so we do not provide vehicles or it's asset light tech company, mainly focused on digitalizing supply chain processes. So, and focusing on all segments of logistics, including distribution, last mile delivery, inter-plant transfer, inter-branch transfer. So coming back to the COVID days, so during the second wave, the actual need for digitalization evolved in the Indian subcontinent as such, and the disruption actually came into existence then, and then we started building a lot of our pipeline, and soon after that, it was like not looking back at all, and then things were fine. So yeah, if that answers the question, Anuj.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sanket, thanks for the insight. So my next question is, how do you see the customer expectations, driving the logistic industry over the last 2 years?
So see, we have different sets of customers and different industries we cater to. If you consider customers of industries like FMCG, pharma, they have gone crazy, especially with regards to requirement of track and trace. More than anything else, they would want to track their shipments, monitor temperature of all the vehicles which are in transit. Along with that, they intend to receive temperature conflict alerts. They would want temperature compliance reports and so on. And that is what Elixia does for a lot of FMCG companies like, Mondelez and Nestle and Ferrero and so on, right? Similar is the case with pharma. So companies like Centaur Pharma and Sanofi Pharma are all our customers, wherein we do a similar thing, right? So the need for temperature monitoring and humidity monitoring real time has grown like crazy in the past 2 years. If you consider cement or steel for that matter, they are mainly focused on um, indent creation, indent generation, and go green kind of a concept, wherein they would not want to rely on manual interventions or Excel sheets. They would not want to rely on generation of LRs and stuff. So the actual development on that front actually grew in those industries. And if you consider 3PLs or logistic players, they themselves now want to digitalize the entire operations, starting from indents which they receive from customers to the LR generation, trip creation, PODs and closure and so on. So the entire operation digitalization is what people are looking for. And that is what have happened in the last 2 years. And now if you ask anyone, technology is the key thing which, people would want in any which way, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely agree with you. I think technology has been playing a pivotal role, especially during this COVID time where players like you, who have brought a lot of innovation and has infused. I always use the term that, I mean, this set of SaaS players like you guys, always turn ideas into reality through your innovation. That's what you guys have done.
Sure.
So my next question is that do you see the logistic players adopting the automation solution to ensure that the human resources are dedicated to the more important and complex tasks?
See, firstly, if you consider enterprise companies, there are several people controlling the entire supply as such, right? So the actual control tower, which we actually serve to a lot of customers, is split into pre-transit, in-transit, and post-transit modules. If you consider pre-transit module, it is mainly the planning, wherein there is a lot of human intervention or people required to actually build there are someone called dispatch planners or distribution planners who actually what they do is they optimize load and they identify how many vehicles to procure, what type of vehicles to procure, followed by automated indent creation, helping send indents to transporters and so on. So here what we have done is we have created interlinked soft bots helping eliminate the process of human intervention altogether. So a lot of our enterprise customers do not have dispatch planners now. They rely on tools like Elixia to actually perform this activity and close the loop as such. Similar is the case with in-transit platform of ours, wherein there are control room managers or executives who actually continuously track and trace, which is not required. We have built a lot of tools helping us capture exceptions and send alerts to customers so that they can investigate and take necessary actions thereon. So, so the whole idea of softbot, which we have introduced in the supply chain control tower context, is to ensure that we use there has to be minimal manual intervention in the entire process, and system should function as an automated system as a whole. So if that answers the question, that's what Elixia does.
Absolutely. I think that definitely covers the question. Sure. So my next question is around the adoption piece. While some players in the logistic industry have technology at the heart of their strategy, the industry has largely been operating on the manual process up till a few years now. And so how do you see the increasing technological adoption, especially in this industry in the recent years?
Yeah. So see, firstly, what I feel is technology adoption is definitely there, but at the same time, it's very difficult to change habit. So if someone is actually using the entire So the entire operations, if it is manually intervened, and if they use Excel sheets, and they're pretty used to that particular technique. So to change the habit and adopt a technology to automate the entire flow or the process, even when there is efficiency coming in, there is a bit of resistance, or it takes a lot of time for us to actually go ahead and go live with a particular customer. Initially, that was the case, but then we have worked hard towards ensuring that the adoption becomes faster by improvising the user experience, or improving the actual UI of the solution so that it becomes very easy for them to use it. And there has to be minimal intervention as well between the solution and the people, right? So that helped us penetrate the market faster, and the adoption grew. And it through the word of mouth, it actually flies from one person to the other, and that's how we actually grow our business as well. So yeah, so that's pretty much what it is.
Thanks. I think that sounds pretty interesting. So my next question is, Sanket, how do you differentiate from the competition in offering solution for logistic and supply chain management?
So one of the things which I recently, so right now I told you, especially with regards to software, which is which helps us differentiate ourselves when it comes to the product portfolio as a whole. It is the domain knowledge or domain strength which we have, helping us talk to customers and crack deals, which sets us apart. There are several things which we do, especially the entire solution of ours is multilingual, which means you can actually use it in your own native language as well. So we have launched Elixia's control tower in 9 different languages. So you can actually choose and use the language as you want. So that's one thing. In fact, there are customers who have gone global with Elixia. One of the customer who took us to Brazil, the entire solution is converted into Brazilian Portuguese, and they use the entire solution in Portuguese. So that's something which helps us stand out. The domain knowledge, the actual product and soft parts, and the customers who are using it. So they themselves take us to the other customers, helping us actually scale and expand. So that you might consider these things as our USP. One of the very good things over and above all this is the actual go live time. Currently is about 15 days, not more than 15 days for us to actually go live with any customer. But such is not the case with other control tasks which are available in market. It takes like about 2 to 3 months for them to actually set things up and go live with customers. So yeah, so that's differentiating factor, helping us be different than what others do in market.
Wow, that's again very interesting. Seems like I think this will definitely help you in scaling further and increasing your footprint across in different part of the world. Sure. That's what you guys must be planning, I guess.
Yeah. So if you consider what is our plan, especially when it comes to geographic expansion, the intention of Elixia is to actually scale Elixia in different parts of Southeast Asia and Middle East, starting from Q1 of 22-23. So with Singapore being the base, there are lots of emerging logistics markets like Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines. So we are planning to actually scale up in those regions. With Dubai being the base, we intend to scale up in Middle East because again, lots of emerging logistic industries like Qatar and Yemen and UAE and Saudi, helping us actually scale up in those regions. So we'll be scaling up in Middle East and Southeast in the next couple of quarters. And soon after which we will enter the saturated markets of Europe and US. And when it comes to product portfolio expansion, as I told you, we stand strong on surface transport, but we intend to actually bring in rail, air, and sea as well. When it comes to air, aviation is something which we are focusing on. So that's nothing but drones. So drone delivery, as and when it picks up, it has picked up quite a lot in the North American markets, especially the US. So in the Q4 of 22-23, from there on, we will actually penetrate into the saturated markets of US and other countries, wherein we will be actually focusing on drone delivery. So we can call it drone control tower kind of a thing. So that, I embed rail, air and sea along with surface transport, so that it's like a multimodal thing helping us track shipment globally.
Okay. So with this, I think you just answered my next question. I was just about to ask you, apart from the surface, what are your expansion plan across the air and the water? I think you just answered it. So I think we just save a couple of minutes there. So my next question is, Sanket, if you can just narrate a little bit about your business achievements in terms of, how you guys have been expanding from revenue growth and customer acquisition perspective.
Sure. So when it comes to achievements and awards, firstly, we we landed up being in top 5 in Food Loss Challenge Asia, which was conducted in Singapore by Rabobank. This happened in 2018. Soon after which, we were in the cohort of Supply Chain Labs by Loomis Partners. We were in the cohort of Catapult, which is of Mahindra Logistics, and so on. So there are several awards and recognitions which we have bagged over the past 5 years. When it comes to revenue growth, we were pretty small when at the start of 15, 16, 16, 17. Soon after which, when we started conceptualizing and building supply chain control tower, the revenue went up like crazy in 2018, 19. We just raised a round of capital in last year, August. Okay. So that was our pre-series A fund round. It was about $1 million introduced by a venture capital company called RVCF, which is Rajasthan Venture Capital Fund. And we will be looking out for funds from April onwards, especially with regards to our global scalability plans. So that will be a round of about $8 to $10 million. And with regards to company's growth, company will be growing 2x by the end of this year. So that is what we intend to do from the last year as such. So that's with regards to revenue growth. Customer base is increasing 2x. So we were dealing with about 300, 400 customers by in 21, 22. And so by the end of March 22, we will be touching like about 750, 800 customers will be using our solution as such. So that's, again, the customer base is also 2x. The revenue growth is 2x, and this will scale exponentially, let's hope.
Wow, I can see a lot of, a good exponential growth coming up by end of this quarter, seems like. So sure. That's pretty interesting, Sanket. So with this, I just come to the last question. Can you just a little bit talk about the top 5 focus areas you have for I would say for the next fiscal, or you can say for next 2 years, where you see Elixia, down the line.
All right. So I don't know about the top
probably,
5.
Probably I'll put it in a more simplified terms. Are you looking to be another unicorn in next 5 years?
Certainly. Why 5 years? I mean, it'll be like 2 years and we'll be unicorn. That's what I envisage the company to be. But then it all depends on how exactly do I grow, and it all depends on the actual scalability plans. If if I shoot my arrows at the right spot, at the right area, it'll be very easy for me to actually scale up globally. And seeing the traction in the supply chain industry, I definitely see the value which we create as against it, and the need as well. So it's growing like crazy, and the scalable architecture which we have built at Elixia, it becomes very easy for us to actually penetrate the market and solve needs of a lot of people, be it any segment of logistic as such. So we will be scaling up in different geographies. We will be scaling up our product portfolio as well, by bringing in rail, air and sea, so that there's global visibility throughout. We will be raising rounds, ensuring the valuation stays high, and the actual vision is to act, maybe, so let's not consider us being a unicorn and so on. It will happen on its own. So that's not what I envisage Elixia to be. That's not a benchmark for me. The benchmark for me is to create as much value as possible in the industry, and the actual revenue and the valuation will follow, right? So the investors, I can just tell you, the investors which will be backing Elixia in months to come will definitely have a bigger role to play when it comes to creating value, and it'll do good to them for sure.
Absolutely, Sanket. Creating value is the foremost important thing. I think with the you follow creating value, and I'm sure success will follow you. So with this, we come to the end of this episode, and thanks, Sanket, for such an insightful session. We really had a pleasure interacting with you. Thank you so very much.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.